Well, it's Workforce Day here at Automate. This is the largest gathering of automation professionals anywhere in North America. It happens every single year in the spring, and there's so much energy, so much excitement. And today we have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of students walking through the aisles of this incredible exhibition. So they're looking at robots, they're looking at Delta robots, they're looking at collaborative robots, 6-axis robots, they're looking at control systems, they're looking at sensors, all of these amazing technologies that our industrial employers, advanced manufacturing employers have been looking at all week. Now we have the next generation of the workforce being inspired toward the amazing, incredible, rewarding, high-paying jobs in the world of manufacturing. It is not your grandfather's manufacturing world anymore. It is high tech, it is really high skill, and it is really high excitement, and that is what we're all about. We're also in the FANUC Education Pavilion, broadcasting live on YouTube from that area. FANUC, of course, the largest robotics and automation company on the planet, not to mention the largest CNC company on the planet. They've sponsored our space here. We are so very thankful to that great organization, and we're so very thankful to our next guest, who has a great partnership with FANUC, also has a great partnership with the next generation of youth thinking about these careers in advanced manufacturing. Beau Everitt, it's got to be just awesome for you as the Dean of Engineering, Manufacturing, and Industrial Technology, known as EMIT, at Oakland Community College, to be here, seeing all this excitement, seeing all these students, seeing the next generation of manufacturing talent. So first, welcome to the Tech Ed Podcast, and what do you think about all this?
Oh, this is fantastic. In no other place in the world right now can you walk around and see so much cool stuff, right?
Exactly. No, that's exactly right. And that's exactly what people have been seeing all week and been talking about all week. The advancements and from a technological standpoint in the advanced manufacturing space, it's at a pace that is unforeseen. I was here a year ago for this great event, and even in 12 months, we see advancements in things like machine vision sensors. Everybody's now talking about artificial intelligence and machine learning. That's becoming a huge part of advanced manufacturing. So maybe we'll get into some of that as we spend our time here together, Beau. But First of all, I just want to make sure that you understand how thankful we are to be here, how much we're excited that you're here, and how excited we are to learn a little bit about your organization, Oakland Community College. So let's start with that. I know where it is, right? We're here in Detroit, Michigan. You're in and around the area of Southeast Michigan. But talk about Oakland Community College. Where are you? What are the industries that you're serving? Tell us about your students. What should we know?
So Oakland Community College is in Oakland County, Michigan, where the campus that I'm at is in Auburn Hills, but we have another campus in Southfield, one in Royal Oak, and one in Farmington Hills.
Okay.
Called our Orchard Ridge campus.
Yep.
And so we service the entire Oakland County area, plus anyone else that we happen to attract from surrounding counties.
Awesome. So what kind of industry is endemic here? What are you talking about? I'm guessing a lot of manufacturing, obviously a lot of automation. Tell us a little bit about that.
With tons of manufacturing. So Oakland County is always rated always in the top 3 counties in the country for manufacturing. So that goes for CNC machining, that's robotics and automation, mechatronics, which we have all those programs at the college. And we have literally hundreds of companies here, very large companies that we service and send students to, or they send some of their employees to us for training.
And I'm guessing that Oakland County is no different than what we hear everywhere else in the United States, which is that these companies are starved for amazing talent, starved for people that can fill positions. As we continue to automate, we continue to advance technology in manufacturing. You're hearing the same thing, I'm sure.
100%. Every single company we get. Every faculty member, myself, our team, we get emails, phone calls, people reaching out via social media all the time for students trying to find talent.
Absolutely. Tell me about your background. I'm always curious about how people found their way to the roles that they have, especially in our nation's technical and community colleges, because unlike maybe other forms, if you will, of higher education, some people in higher education have a real similar career path. The variety of career paths of people working in technical education, particularly in our community colleges, fascinate me. Tell us a little bit about yours.
So I actually grew up on a farm.
Okay.
And and so working on things was a part of life.
Sure.
And so that led me to actually CNC machining, which is where I started life, and wound up getting into, because I had another instructor that told me I would be a good teacher.
Sure.
So I wound up getting into teaching, and I taught for 16 years. Up until almost a year ago, until I became the dean here at Oakland Community
Fascinating.
College.
So where was the farm, in Michigan, or where was
Yes,
it?
I was Northern Michigan, Rose City.
Okay.
So
Dairy farm, or what were you?
a little bit of dairy, a little bit of crops,
Okay.
a little bit of everything.
So think about the changes that have taken place in that space over that period of time, right? So we talk about Industry 4.0, advanced manufacturing. I grew up in and around agriculture. My parents were not farmers, but my mom's from a family of 10, my dad from a family of 8, and almost all my aunts and uncles at some point in time were farmers. And so we would spend sometimes weeks over the course of summer on dairy farms and so on. You think about what farming looked like then and what it looks like now, and now we've got the automatic milking machines and all the data that we're pulling, and embedded sensors that we have in livestock, and now we've got combines that are driving themselves around. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating. It must have been interesting for you to watch, coming from agriculture and watching the advancements both in agriculture and in manufacturing after being in the CNC world. In a lot of ways they're paralleling each other. Are you seeing the same thing?
Absolutely. And it's it's not just farming, it's every industry is exploding with automation.
Exactly.
I mean, because it's a way of life now. Things are happening much faster. They have to happen much faster. And that was, as a kid, he started to see that, like, you have to go one way or the other. You're going to either be a micro farmer or you're going to be a big farmer. Right. And that was one of the things that it was my grandfather's farm. So, and he kind of saw that as a tipping point for them, right? Do you got to go down this path, or you don't?
Yeah, exactly.
So, and he chose to not. So, so I wound up in machining.
Yeah, so that was the way that you found your way into CNC machining. Were you contract machining? Were you working for a large OEM? What kind of work were you doing?
So actually, I was a plastic injection mold maker for Dow Chemical.
Oh,
so,
really? Okay,
yep.
interesting.
So I started out there and wound up coming in Midland, and then wound up coming down here to start teaching. Got it.
What was it about teaching that appealed to you? Why did you make that transition?
The people.
Yeah.
I'm very much a people person. Love working with students. I started out at the high school level before I came to the college level.
Okay.
So it just attracted me to it. It allowed me to coach. I coach football.
Oh, nice.
I enjoyed that part of it. Watching somebody grow, watching the light bulb come on, and helping guide people in what they like to do. And that's one of the cool things about being a technical education teacher.
Sure.
Is most of those students are there because they either want to try it and see if they like it, or they know that they like it and they want to keep going. So
Absolutely.
it's super rewarding, and you get to see. There's some of my students are walking around here today.
Awesome.
So.
Are they really?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard anything from them about what they're seeing and the energy that they're seeing around the technology yet?
Well, a lot of them have fully embraced it and are working for some of the companies here.
Oh, are they really?
Yes, absolutely.
That's got to be so rewarding for you as somebody that spent these 16, 17 years now in education, to see students that that you mentored, that you lit that spark around advanced manufacturing technology for them, and now they're working for some of the greatest companies probably in the world in the arena of advanced manufacturing. How does that make you feel as a former teacher?
Oh, it's fantastic, and they come back. One of the things for teachers is once in a while the students will come back and they'll shake your hand, they'll tell you their goods and bads, and but most of the time it's with a huge smile, and they love it, right?
Absolutely.
So and I actually had a couple of them. We had an open house at the college a couple weeks ago, which was very well attended.
Yeah.
But I had some former students come in. They had some of their friends, and they were walking around and showing them what was going on, and they're going to become students too. So,
awesome. Yeah.
And one of them is at FANUC. Another one's at Rockwell. So so they're out there.
Yeah, two behemoths actually, and maybe by coincidence we've had Blake Moret, who's the chief executive of Rockwell, actually a friend of mine, and he's been on the podcast and did a phenomenal job. And I just met with him 3 weeks ago. He's actually coming back for another episode. Mike Chico, the president and CEO of FANUC America, was with us yesterday. Another really great friend of the podcast and of mine personally. So awesome to see that you have students that are graduating from these programs. You inspired them around advanced manufacturing. We often talk on the Tech Ed podcast, and we invite our listeners to go back in time and think about the 3 teachers that were the most influential on them, and everybody can come up with 3. I could name my 3 right off the top of my head, and it was always the ones that showed you had a skill or an ability you didn't know you had, or a passion or an interest, or a career path you didn't know you had, or built in you this confidence to do something that you had no idea that you were capable of doing. I think sometimes we lose the fact that, especially in technical education, the influence that our educators have on that next generation is so absolutely profound. We need more people coming into that space. I know you're struggling. I'm sure, I don't know that for a fact, but I would guess like any other institution of higher education, especially in technical education, having great faculty, and you have them, but finding those people is really, really a challenge. Are you seeing the same thing in terms of recruiting talent?
Yeah, so we actually we're experiencing a little growth, right? So the pandemic hurt everybody, so and we all took a dip, but we're actually I think we've already hit the bottom, and I think we're on our way back
from an
up
enrollment
a little bit.
standpoint.
From an enrollment standpoint, so we're growing, and we're looking to invest in our facilities now and do a big addition.
Awesome.
Industrial space, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of this stuff is hands on. Yes, you can do some of it online, but most of it's hands on, right? You can't learn how to weld by looking at a computer screen. It just doesn't happen. So
Exactly.
we are investing in our facilities, and not that our facilities are bad now, but we want to make them way better.
Absolutely.
So that's where we're going. We're trying to put our thumbprint on Southeast Michigan and be the leader and best in where we're at.
Absolutely. Tell us about those investments and the changes. What are you looking at adding?
So we have plans right now to add right around 90,000 square feet to our existing facility, and then the building that we are currently occupying right now, we'll have to relocate a little bit, but tear that apart and fully remodel it. So essentially gut it and start over. So it's exciting.
It is
really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So I've got to imagine that FANUC is at least part of the thought process in that you've got a great partnership with FANUC. Tell us about that.
So yeah, we do have a great partnership with FANUC. We have somewhere between 20 and 30 robots at our facility, plus all the different PLCs and things like that. We have a great partnership with Herco Machining.
Sure.
So in our machine tool lab, and actually with the new facility, that's what we're looking for more of, is those partnerships, because we just believe that when a student is trained on the top stuff,
right,
when they go out there, they're gonna already know it, and it's a win-win really for both. It's win for us because we get to work with good equipment,
right?
But it's also a win for the company and the students that they are coming out and knowing how to use their stuff.
Absolutely. So you talk about industry relevance. Obviously, you name some household names, at least in the world of manufacturing. What do you look for in a partner? What's important when you're looking at a partner for a new lab like that?
So really what we're looking for is somebody that will support us. We're educators, right? We're not running spindles. We're not making robots run 24/7. That's just not what we are.
Right.
But we need somebody that's willing to help us out with certifications,
sure,
and prepping us, meaning faculty, for the things that are coming and keeping us abreast of what's coming along. Right? We're educators. We're not living it every day anymore, but we need that input. We need to know how to make adjustments to our curriculum, what we need to be looking for, what's coming on the horizon, right?
Sure.
AI is a real thing. It is,
sure,
it's here and it's here to stay.
Yep.
So where do we put it in? How do we put it in? And those are all things that, as an educator myself, you can't know everything.
Of course.
Right?
And it's getting harder and harder, right?
Absolutely.
Maybe 20, 30 years ago, you could know everything about machining. You could know anything, everything about whether it's a woods program, whether it's, even mechatronics and control systems and so on. We could be SMEs in specific verticals. That's getting harder and harder to do, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it takes a team, and that's part of what we work on at the college too, is that teamwork, because you're not silos. There's not silos anymore.
Right.
And that's something that we're doing too, even with our curriculum, is we're diversifying it a little bit and mixing things together. So because there's so many things that do go together now. A robot is machine tending. So you need to know how to program the robot, but you also need to know how to program that machine,
right,
to make whatever part it is that you're trying to make.
Exactly.
So those crosswalks need to happen, and that's where that's where we're trying to get to.
For sure. I love the way that you're talking about that. I spent a lot of time on the manufacturing side and actually was a manufacturing employer for 20 plus years before moving over to the education side several years ago. And, one of the things that I find when I'm talking to, especially like contract machining companies, they're all noting that it's so hard to find great talent, that they're trying to partner with the community college, trying to upskill their incumbent workforce, all these other things. And they're facing this huge challenge. And then you walk into their manufacturing operation, and I've got a skilled machinist who's standing there, tending a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's fine, but you could be using a robot to do that. And then you would free up that individual's time. And maybe that, rather than having a really highly skilled individual standing at one machine tool, they're running 3 or 4 of them with the assistance of automation. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really, really prescient in terms of how you're thinking about the future manufacturing and teaching things like machine tending and a lot of other technologies. You're relatively new to the dean position. Am I correct about that?
Yep. 8 months.
8 months. All right. So still in year 1. And you've talked a little bit about this expansion that you're doing, and obviously that's going to be really, really exciting. Let's turn the clock forward maybe 5 or 10 years. What do you see on the horizon in terms of your vision for the program?
So really, we're looking for more partnerships, right? Okay. So we want to sink our teeth into that and really become leaders in education for whoever our partners happen to be, right? So because we have so many different programs that we offer, but that's really what we want to get to is have that growth, have that model where we can offer certifications, national or internationally recognized certifications for all these students.
Yep.
And that, because that's as a person that's lived it, you want some flexibility and mobility, right? So you don't necessarily want to get pigeonholed into one spot. You want to be able to move around, maybe even move up, right? So that's what we're looking for. Is we're looking to make sure that we have accredited facilities, we have good certifications for everybody that are very, very well recognized,
right?
And that way we can service both our students and the industry.
Absolutely. We had Ann Gilchuk of NOCTI who joined us not too long ago, and obviously she has earlier this week, and she has a huge partnership with FANUC and all those industry recognized credentials, and I'm a huge fan of the work that she's doing. We've had Neil Reddy of MSSC on with us. He's doing some great things. Certainly Jim Wall at the Smart Automation Certification Alliance is another that I think is really leading in this space. So I'm a huge advocate for those industry certifications, and I love the way that you're aligning those with your technical diploma programs and with your associate degree programs, because it really is an and not or, in my opinion. I mean, we can be doing both of these, giving our students stackable credentials. They can also become great tools for creating pathways from our K-12 districts to our programs. Is that a big part of what you're doing as well, as partnering with your K-12s to create those pathways for the next generation of talent?
Absolutely. So yeah, K-12 is one. Veterans are another one that we're really getting into, and then also partnering the other way too, partnering with 4 years, so where our students can do 2+2s or 3+1s in engineering or whatever that it is that they're trying to get to. So we're doing all of that.
Awesome. Who are some of your key 4-year partners that you're working with?
So the largest one right now is Lawrence Tech, which is right down the road, really.
Know
here.
Well,
so,
yeah.
So,
Mark Brucky, I know over at Lawrence Tech really well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lawrence Tech, Wayne State, we've worked with a lot, and then OU's right down the street from us. So we've been working with them.
Oakland University,
and U of D Mercy, Detroit Mercy.
Yeah, so, and are those typically engineering type programs, or what are those pathways for your students?
So those are engineering programs, and then for our for machine tool, for welding, and a few other ones, we partner well with Ferris State, which is actually where I graduated from.
Is it?
Yes. So we partnered with them for their industrial technology management program. So people that are looking to become managers, right?
For sure.
And that's what we do see a lot of that too, right? We see some people that are trying to retrain, if you will, been doing it for 10 years, and they're like, I really would like to be a manager, supervisor, foreman, whatever it is, and so they'll come back. Maybe they get their associate degree with us or finish it off if they left early, and then wind up going on at Ferris, because they have a satellite campus there on our campus and at Macomb, and they can finish their degree right in Southeast Michigan. They can have kids, they can stay home, they don't have to go anywhere.
Wow, that's awesome. You'll be glad to know that Bill Pink, who is the president of Ferris State, is a member of what we call the Tech Ed Podcast Alumni Circle.
All right.
So he joined us, I think, the middle of 2021, actually, when he was still at Grand Rapids Community College. Huge fan of the work that Bill is doing, the partnerships that he's been able to create. Really kind of, I would say, one of the gold standards of it, as you were talking about reaching out to industry and building those rock solid partnerships with his industrial partners. So it's kind of interesting how all of these lines in technical education connect as we think about the future of technology, the future of advanced manufacturing technology, the future of how we educate our students. You're talking about a lot of innovations around partnering with your employers, around third-party credentials, around upgrading your facilities, lots and lots of cool things going on. Have you had a chance to walk the floor here at Automate yet?
I've seen about a quarter of it, right? There's so much to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really think that you'd probably need to spend 2 full days here to really see it all.
Yeah, I've been trying to sneak out in between episodes here, and it's it's hard to get all the way to the other end of the building and back before the next guest is coming in. So we've been challenged by that just a little bit, but just fascinating technology. Is there something you've seen already that sticks out with you as you walk around?
It's the AI stuff. That's really what's propelling me. I don't know the right word, but we know that's coming, and that's where we're really starting to concentrate on and see where that's going to take us. And we're trying to take a preemptive approach to it and really get a handle on it before we fall behind, if you will, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Because it's already here, right? So we're trying not to be reactionary. We want to be proactive and really get some things going. So that's when I start looking around, that's really what I'm looking at. So.
Absolutely. So when you think about artificial intelligence, and we think about, here we are in the FANUC booth, and you've got, a couple things that really strike me. Number one, we've got all these robots. Every one of these robots is loaded up with smart technology. People might not recognize it by looking at it from the outside, but there's force sensing, they're tracking disturbances, they're tracking humidity, they're tracking moisture, they're tracking temperature, just to name a handful of the different types of attributes that they're tracking. We love to talk about robots that predict their own future failure and order their own replacement parts, and literally using FANUC ZDT, we're at that point. Then you think about MT-Link I, which is another platform from FANUC, where we can have cloud-based software where we're taking all of this information from our machine tools, from our programmable logic controllers, from all of our robots, loading that up to the cloud and gathering this tremendous amount of data. And that's not like 10, 20 years from now. That's technology that exists today. You buy a machine tool and put it into your manufacturing operation, or for that matter, your machine tool program at a community college. All of that technology is already loaded up. I've got to believe you're thinking about those and other innovations as you vision out this new space. Do you have any thoughts on how we teach AI? And I know it's really emerging, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but how we teach it, maybe how we combine what we're learning on the operations technology program and things like machine tool and robotics and automation with maybe our IT folks, and how we overlap some of that. What are your thoughts on that, Beau?
So actually, one of the things that we're doing with this new space is we're going to have probably an AI or VR lab, where we do integrate everything, right? Yeah. So how we teach it, it's just going to depend on what we're trying to accomplish, right? Yeah. So, but I think it's going to be in collaboration with our IT folks, with cybersecurity, with all those different things, to see what we can to see where we can get to, and that's. I'm not the master at that at any stretch. So, but I think that's where we're going to go with it. And, especially in our machine tending or machine, what's it called? When they're looking at it and doing all the,
machine learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Machine learning. Yep. There we go. Diagnostics and things like that. So yeah, then that's where we're headed.
Yeah, that's really, really excited. I start thinking about all the different elements of machine learning, and we spend a lot of time talking about things like classification learning. So being able to use AI and ML and a vision system to classify an object that they're looking at. We think about using, unsupervised learning and supervised learning. Of course, the difference is there. Unsupervised learning, where we don't label the data, we just give the data to a machine learning platform and let it find the patterns, or supervised data, where it's labeled. Reinforcement learning, where we're giving constant reinforcement to a machine learning algorithm as it gets closer and closer to the answer that we want. All of these things are going to be alive and well in the future of technical education. I just think it's an incredibly exciting time. So AI is one trend. Are there other trends you have your eye on, Beau?
Really just the growth. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do, because there's so many things that are coming, right? And that's it's hard to put a finger on
Yeah,
what
no,
to
I hear
concentrate
ya.
on when there's so much.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think. Yeah, I think I'm gonna help my team to just do that, grow and pay attention to what's going on, and be lifelong learners like everybody else.
Yeah, no, that's what it's all about. And in this day and age, those we've already discussed, there's the world of subject matter expertise. That that's that thing of the past anymore. I mean, it's not that we can't be subject matter experts in certain areas, but we also have to be able to rely on, whether it's an e-learning platform, an AI platform, machine learning, all this data acquisition, and be able to grow and learn along with it, because the day of the teacher being the instructor being the great keeper of all knowledge and letting that out over the course of time, those days are gone, and the world of teaching is totally different. And I can just tell by your a progressive approach to education that's exactly how you're thinking.
Yeah, well, and how we teach is changing too, and that's really what I think it's going to start driving us a little more too, right? The days of standing in front of the classroom and just yapping at people, that's not, it doesn't work anymore.
I agree.
Right? So we have to use those different the ARs and all that to be able to teach a lot of these folks, and a lot of our faculty have started to embrace that anyways. The pandemic changed a lot in the world, and that was one of the things that did change. We're using a lot more online platforms now.
Sure.
We're doing some things more hybrid, or what they call flipped classroom approach, where students do some things at home before they come in.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things teaching wise that we tell them, like, you're coming into a lab, multi-million-dollar lab in many cases, that you do not have at home.
Right.
Exactly. And maybe you go to work and there's something like that, but I'll bet you they're not going to let you test this thing out.
Exactly.
So we tell them that, like, hey, learn this at home and then come in with your questions, because we can help you out with these questions, and then you get more time on those machines, right? And learning the teach pendants and all these different things. So learn it at home and bring it with you. Maybe we do it VR, maybe we do it some different things that they can take with them, and those are some of the avenues that we're looking at too, right? Virtual welders or something like that. Maybe it's something in the future. Maybe it becomes like a library book that you check it out.
Of course,
which is different now too, right?
So for sure, exactly, totally changed. Yeah,
absolutely. So those are all those different avenues that we're looking at that are they're kind of coming back, right? Checking out a library book. Well, I'm going to check out this virtual reality
thing.
So,
yeah, for sure.
And that's I think that's a super cool. I wish
awesome.
I don't know about you, but I wish I had that when I was a kid.
Oh man, I would have learned so much better and so much more quickly in the new way of learning. It's refreshing for me to hear somebody who's spent 16, 17 years in education embracing these technologies like the flipped classroom, like e-learning, like virtual reality, like augmented reality. The truth is that there are still students who are classroom learners, and we all know them. And some students learn really well in a one-to-many environment. A lot of them don't. And I would argue, especially those that find their way into more of the technical careers, technical education, you find your way there because you like making things and building things and working with your hands. And then, we used to just sit those people in a classroom and make them endure an entire hour of somebody lecturing to them. And I think there's always going to be an element of that in education, but embracing all of these different technologies, these different approaches, understanding the no two learners are going to learn the same way, at the same pace, in the same fashion, and being able to be flexible in that regard. Sounds like you're adopting all of those things. We're running short on time here with our good friend Beau Everitt, who's the Dean of Engineering, Manufacturing, and Industrial Technology at Oakland Community College. I do want to close out, Beau, with one last question. And we're going to take you back in time. So back from before you were 8 months as a dean and 16 years in the classroom, and then your time in CNC machining and your education pathway and your time at Ferris State, all the way back to that farm in northern Michigan when you're a 15-year-old young man and you've got your whole life ahead of you. And not that you would necessarily change anything in terms of where you've ended up, because obviously you've had a tremendously successful career, and I'm sure that trajectory will continue. But if you could tell that 15-year-old young man one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Just have fun doing it, right? I mean, I really don't think I really think I would change anything, right? Because I'm sitting doing what I really would like to do, right?
Yeah, right.
So maybe there's some other things that personal things that you would change, right?
Sure.
But as far as as far as learning, just keep learning,
Yep.
right? And sink your teeth. Don't. So one of the things that I did do when I was a kid is you kind of. You talk about silos. I kind of siloed myself, and I think I would tell myself, hey, start learning these other things, right?
Sure.
Learn how to be, maybe not be a professional, but learn how to do some electrical things.
Right.
Maybe work on some of those electronics. Don't be afraid to tear things apart.
Yep.
So
I love that.
and one of the things too, when you grow up on a farm, you also tend to grow up a little poor too.
Right.
And you didn't want to tear it apart because if you couldn't put it back together, then
Right.
it doesn't work
Yeah,
anymore, right?
Right. Exactly.
So being a little bit more experimental, I think I would tell myself to do that. Go ahead. Don't worry about it. You'll put it back together. It's fine. I think that's I do that with my kids now. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
Right.
Tear it apart. That's cool.
And it's a great philosophy toward life, right?
Yeah.
And I love the way that you're thinking about that. I would also argue it's a great philosophy toward education, right? I mean, we shouldn't
100%.
be afraid to disrupt it a little bit. We shouldn't be afraid to take it apart, tear it apart. We'll put it back together.
Yeah.
Likely we'll put it back together even better than it is right now.
Yep.
But if not, we can always go back, right? We can always take a step back and readdress what we were trying to do and take another approach. And I really like the way that you and Oakland Community College, Beau, are thinking about the future of education, thinking about all the different modes of delivering instruction, all the different modes of inspiring the next generation. No doubt you're doing incredibly important work. We talk about here on the Tech Ed Podcast, securing the American dream for the next generation of STEM and workforce talent. That is exactly what you're doing. I really admire the work you're doing, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us today on the Tech Ed Podcast.
Hey, thank you for the invite. I enjoyed it.
I did too.